understand the feeling. It's a very lonely journey. It's very isolated. And of course, you'll always get your occasional words of encouragement. You'll always get your sort of consistent dose of praise for what you're doing. And of course, you're very lucky if you get that. Don't get me wrong. You're very lucky. Very fortunate, because there are some people out there who don't get anything at all, not even hate. Even that can suck, because you'll never really understand the world's impression of your art, of your content, of what you put out there. So if you're not getting love and you're not getting hate, it can be very hard to gauge certain things. And of course, that can play into the confidence of where this can go, of what you can achieve. But on top of that, you're putting in so much effort. You're putting in a lot of effort. You're doing reasonable research, hopefully. You're going through the motions. You're spending hours at a time trying to improve yourself and trying to ensure that you deliver the highest quality. But there's something missing, and you feel as though you won't be able to reach that point. We look at it as a dream. We look at our goals and whatever we're trying to achieve as a dream. And even though there are plenty of people out there, it's raining like crazy outside. Anyway, even though there are plenty of people out there who have shown the possibilities, who have shown how possible it is, and how much effort you need and how much work you should put in order to see progress, we still see it as a dream. Because to us, it's so unreasonable. Why should I deserve this? Why should I deserve to be in this position? Why should I deserve to make a living off of this? Why should I deserve to speak my mind? Hell. So you're going through all these questions. You're going through all these questions and you can't seem to come up with a plausible answer. And so the doubt just creeps in even more. On top of that, our expectations are rather high and our output is rather low. We expect that this should be easy enough seeing as other people do it. We expect that, oh, well, that person succeeded in gaining this much within 10 months. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do the same. And then we begin to underestimate what we're approaching. We begin to evaluate it as this sort of just hurdle, something to jump over. It'll require some hard work, but ultimately, with enough time, things will line up, they'll add up. And that's when we really begin fucking ourselves over. Because now we're looking at this and we're undervaluing just how difficult it is to reach that position. And so yeah, the doubt keeps on creeping in, and slowly it begins to affect the body. Slowly it begins to affect the mind. Suddenly you're not feeling as motivated anymore. Suddenly you aren't seeing the results that you want to see. And so it's like, what's the point? Do I even matter in this space? Can I even provide the best insight in this space? I'm not like this other guy. I mean, look at him. Look at how beautiful his videos are. Look at how beautiful his art is. Look at how beautiful his music is. I couldn't possibly imagine being that way. And so the toxic comparisons roll in, and well, suddenly that doubt becomes terminal. Suddenly that doubt becomes irreversible. And now we have begun the path to our own devastation, to our own destruction, to our own downfall. Should you give up? Maybe. I won't tell you that you shouldn't. The choice is up to you. Whether or not you want to give up on this goal, whether or not you want to give up on this journey, the decision is ultimately up to you. But you should really ask yourself an important question. And that question is it worth it to me? Is any other option ideal to me? Maybe you're a college kid and maybe you were forced to go. Perhaps it was your choice, whatever. And maybe you had some type of revelation. You decided you wanted to go down a certain path. Well, now you're there. Now you're on it. To leave, to go back, to return to whence you came. Is that an ideal option to you? You'll really know how bad somebody wants something when they look at the alternative and cringe. when they look at the alternative and just feel that terror, that fear of possibly going towards that route, that's when you know someone is really dedicated. You imagine that alternate scenario where, say, you didn't want to go to college, but you end up doing the 4 years. Maybe you become an architect, perhaps you become a politician, or you end up working in some office job or whatever, and you have debts. You look at that scenario and it just terrifies you, it scares you. That's how you really know what you want to truly do. When it bothers you, when the other options bother you, that'll give you plenty of incentive to keep on going. But of course, this isn't some fear thing. Of course, this isn't some scare to keep you on set path, because sometimes people are truly ignorant to what else they could possibly do. And perhaps there is a better path for you. And in that case, definitely search for it. But if you intend on going down this path of whatever you're doing, then you seriously need to do the due diligence of exploring the way in which you see it, the way in which you approach it. We feel like giving up because we don't see what we want to see. We feel like giving up because we set certain expectations for set time, and that completely distorted our efforts and the way in which we approach it. We feel like giving up because we're not getting the reciprocated emotions that we were expecting from externals. We feel like giving up because we look at others who have succeeded and are sort of like, how does that even happen? How could I possibly do that? The goal just seems immeasurable. We feel like giving up because we treat it like a dream. We treat it like a one day. We treat it like a, well, I wish I could possibly do this and I'll try, but if I don't, then whatever. What do you mean if you don't, then whatever? When you go through the system of school, the dream isn't to become, say, a nurse or an engineer. That's the expectation. It is something that you expect to happen as long as you put in the work for the next, say, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. So why don't we start treating these dreams as the same thing? Why don't we give it the same emotion? There's a beauty in powering through the powerful emotions of doubt. There is great beauty in continuing on and just continuing to improve the craft and just developing a real bondage with what you're pursuing. There's a beauty to it. Because even if you don't reach the level that you'd like to, there's nothing stopping you from continuing on. There's no obstacles that can really just hinder, unless everything just destroys itself before your eyes. There are very few impediments to this, because you're the one dragging yourself forward. You're the one controlling where you go. You're the one deciding when to stop and when to continue. You can't say the same for other things, right? You can't say the same for college. Of course, you can leave college, but that kind of defeats the purpose. While you're in college, you're doing the work that's assigned to you. In other cases, you're doing the work that you assigned to yourself. There's great beauty in that. You have full creative control. And so as much as you put in is as far as you'll go. And that doesn't just go for the effort. That doesn't just go for the efficiency and how often you get something done. That goes for the research. That goes for the studying of other YouTubers or creatives or artists or writers, poets, whatever. Cooks, chefs. It goes with all types of other things. You need to do your due diligence. You need to research what made them succeed in the first place. You got to keep on seeking out that information, keep on learning. That's the beauty of it. You're growing yourself in the process. That's something that we tend to neglect. So when it comes to giving up, you really need to ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place? Why does it matter to you? Why are you doing this in the first place? If you can answer that question, then Will you feel like giving up? Like, were my expectations distorted? Were my expectations sort of out of place? Was I being irrational? Was I overestimating myself? What do I need to work on in order to achieve the results which I want to? What am I doing? What am I neglecting? We fail to ask ourselves these questions, and so of course failure and doubt will creep in and creep in and creep in until it just becomes suffocating, because we're not doing the due diligence. We're not taking care to really do that in-depth analysis, and it really kills us. So yeah, don't give up. That's my advice. Don't give up. You gotta treat it like something that you seriously love. And if you love it, then you'll do it until you can't do it anymore. Even when it gets hard, even when it gets tough, even when it becomes sort of dead-endy, you don't see anything. When you get ran into a corner, you're forced to think a lot harder. You're forced to think with much more focus and energy and effort. To end this video, I'd like to bring out a quote. I think it's very important. These various characters you see and witness, what are their lives like? As entertaining as they are also human. Vice, worry, hardship, smiles, gains, losses, and more consume their lives too. But we ought to see their perfection in them, because the human mind can't stand to see what is closest to their true selves. What does that mean? You look at that person that you compare yourself to, and you fail to see the human in them, because all you can see is their best selves. And that could fuck you over too. Understand that they had to go through similar trials too. They had to go through similar doubts. I won't say it's the same doubt, because everyone's built differently. But they've been through similar emotions. The only difference is they had a stronger belief in themselves. So when you begin to understand that, and when you can humanize the people that you're doing this with, or people who are farther ahead than you are, the silhouettes in the distance, when you can humanize with them, maybe then things will become a lot easier. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. I wasn't expecting this to be that long, but it's good advice. It's good advice. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Follow the socials down in the description below. And yeah, this is Ibra signing out. I'll see y'all later, man.